Hi, my name is Jayne Anne, and I am a certified health coach, and I also do professional leadership coaching. And I wanted to come on here to discuss cognitive behavioral therapy, and this is bold, but where I think it has some shortcomings. I come at this from the perspective of a professional coach and not from a mental health counseling position. And I have used cognitive behavioral therapy as a client with a therapist, as well as worked for several companies who use this theory in their teaching materials and who like their coaches to kind of use this perspective with clients as well. And so let's get into it. What is it, first of all? Cognitive behavioral therapy, in my very unprofessional and unevidence based description, is basically the idea or the concept, which is that our thoughts create our behaviors, which create our outcomes. That was very simplistic, but something happens, that's a trigger, you have a reaction, and there's a chain of thinking that happens. And some of the thoughts that we have are, factual, or they're not true, or they're opinions, or there's no way to know if they're true. And so basically, the exercise is helping people to recognize those triggers, sort of be able to clearly list out and separate themselves from their thinking and their behavior, and ultimately their behavior that comes from that thinking. And and it's fine. Like, it's all very logical and rational and makes a lot of sense. And I have personally used it, and that I remember when I learned it, it felt very helpful to a point. Like, oh, something annoying happened, and I could do this exercise, which I have a link to that exercise down below, if you're interested in that. And and I could feel better about it, or clearer on it. The reason why I don't like it is because it feels clinical. It just feels like there's a right answer, and there's only one answer, and it's very literally heady, very mental, and so it doesn't sink into the feelings very much. While you can write feelings, it's they're sort of disregarded, and so the reason why I bring this up, it's not necessarily just a critique for me of cognitive behavioral therapy in my inexperienced, um, work with it as both a client and a coach, but it's because I feel like what has been so much more helpful in the work that I do with people is really helping people to feel a different way. A lot of times, like, we'll get down to that root, sort of like, not root cause, but like the you start to get into like a circle, like whatever the issue may be. It's like, okay, it keeps coming back to this, like, if only this were different, for example. And so while it might be stuck thinking, and I'm sure a cognitive behavioral therapist would see it in a different way than I do, for me, it's like that person needs an invitation, or a perspective opening, a pattern interrupt for how they're experiencing life. And it doesn't necessarily, in my conversations with people, come from, oh, this is my thinking and it's faulty and I'm going to disregard it or change it or try to think differently, because so many people have thought these things out, like overthought these things out, and haven't really successfully been able to think their way out of this problem or to change their thinking. And so for me, like what's really exciting and really helpful has come from some alternative healing methods that invite you to feel how you would like to be feeling, but not just in a mental way, but like really, once you're in that deep and often tender and vulnerable spot with somebody, like asking, we are powerful more than we think we are. Like, would you like to know what it feels like to have this or to be this way and to not feel X, Y, and Z? Would you like to feel A, B, C instead? It's sometimes as simple as that. Once you've done all the digging and all the looking at things from different perspectives, and like, I've just found that that feels right for me. I'm a feeler, and while, thinking and cognitive adaptability and our rationalism like is so strong and can help us in so many ways, I think that not acknowledging like the sense of anxiousness, dejection, lack of motivation, feeling guarded, lack of trust, all these things that like come up as like just regular parts of being a human that feel like the experiences feel contracting and narrowing. It's like allowing that to open up with people if they're open to it, because they often are when they're coming to me for something that is really bothering them and they don't know what to do about it. So there are many ways to skin a cat, as they say, although that's a horrible expression. And I really like the way that I've started to work with people. So anyways, this was my perspective, how I've been moving from dealing with really uh, dealing with issues with people from a very cognitive and thinking space into more of a deeper heart-based embodied space and more of a feeling space. So if you enjoyed this video, please like it, and if you have any comments about your own experience in working with people, or if you've worked with somebody that it felt really helpful to delve into the feeling of how you would like to be feeling instead of the way you are, please let me know in the comments. All right, thank you. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.